You're listening to CinemaJaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location from CinemaJaw Studios in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is
Rye the Movie Guy, and sitting right to my left is KP.
Hello.
This week on CinemaJaw, Matt, we're kidnapped.
I'm kidnapped every week. I'm forced to do a podcast with this guy about movies every week.
Every week.
Yeah. And then I just sit in this room.
People don't know that.
It's true. Please send help.
Yes.
I kid.
We are doing our top 5 favorite movies about kidnapping. And
it's an odd topic,
It
Ryan.
is an odd topic, but once doing the research, it's a big topic. There are a lot of movies that deal with kidnappers, kidnapping, all kinds, different perspectives of the kidnapping field.
Yeah, well, I mean, right. It is a rich and unfortunate topic. There's a lot of psychology to explore in it. You can go a lot of different genres with it. So sure, it's somewhat versatile as a trope.
It is.
As a vehicle for a plot.
I mean, because they even make comedies. There was that Alicia Silverstone, Benicio del Toro movie. Can't even think of the name of it, but I've seen it, and I was like, my God, I mean, they even make bad comedies about kidnapping.
They do. They're out there. Every genre you can think of has touched on this plot vehicle.
Access Baggage, I believe, was the name of that Alicia Silverstone movie.
There's a good pull.
Yeah. So we are doing this in honor of the new movie that you were very excited about, Abigail.
Yeah, right, which features a kidnapping.
It does.
Hence the tie-in. Yeah.
Just happens to be they kidnapped a vampire.
Or did the vampire kidnap them?
Ooh, more to come on Abigail. Joining us to review Abigail and do a top 5 is a friend of the show and a great guest.
Erik Childress is back. He is part of the Chicago Critics Film Festival, which is coming up, right?
It sure is. May 3rd through the 9th over at the Music Box Theater. I've said it, you've said it, it's our favorite film festival here in Chicago, and we will talk to Erik about the highlights, some of the films that are coming to Chicago. There are some big ones, especially one playing there Sunday night that I am pumped for.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Critics Fest. We always have a few beers.
Oh yeah, we go into the lounge afterwards. We talk with all the critics. It's the best.
Have you ever been kicked out?
No, well, I behaved myself at the Chicago Critics Film Festival.
That's a rare occurrence.
We'll ask Erik if anybody's ever been kicked out, because if anybody's doing the kicking out, it's probably Erik.
Yeah.
So.
Indeed.
Yeah. Besides that, we have trivia. Since we have Erik here, no Stump the Kempinski. In honor of Kirsten Dunst month, we are playing Kirsten Dunst movie trivia. Sound good?
Sounds good.
And also, while I was watching Abigail and thinking about vampires, I was going to talk to Erik about the greatest portrayal of Dracula.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think we're on the same page.
We've got to be, man, because
I'm not positive.
There's really only one, you know, and it's Nicolas Cage.
Gary Oldman in what?
It's Nicolas Cage.
From just last year?
Yeah. Oh. Not talking about the movie.
Right.
I'm talking about the portrayal of Dracula.
No, I mean, Gary Oldman in Bram Stoker's Dracula is the only Dracula you need to know.
You know what, Rye? CinemaWAR.
You're going down, man.
It has been a long time.
Wow.
We gotta brush the dust off this coffin and exhume CinemaWAR.
Oh, I like it. I like it. It is also Kirsten Dunst month. We have one more fact to get to. KP, what do we got this week?
Yes. So last week we were, at least I was, slam dunking a little bit on Kirsten for her ability to just show up somewhere and get a cameo appearance. But she redeems herself for that privilege by in Power of the Dog. Beloved film. She worked incredibly hard for the piano piece that she plays on screen. And in fact, she had actually worked hard on mastering 2 separate piano pieces. It's just that the second one was cut from the film. All that being said, she is recognized, and her and Jesse Plemons became the 4th married couple ever to be nominated for an Academy Award, and in no small part do I think that's because of that performance.
In the same film, a married couple both getting nominations is a rarity, you know?
Yeah.
Only the 4th time. That's pretty cool.
But you're saying she played the piano legitimately. That's impressive.
It is. Multi-talented. Kirsten Dunst. That's why we're celebrating her here on CinemaJaw.
Indeed.
Yes. Speaking of celebrating and speaking about talented, our next guest, Erik Childress, has been part of the Chicago Critics since, wow, I got to ask him, but it's been a very long time since he's been part of the group. And their group has the Chicago Critics Film Festival coming up May 3rd through the 9th over at the Music Box Theater. Erik, welcome back to CinemaJaw.
Guys, thanks for having me again. I love doing your podcast so much.
Thanks.
I really do. I miss it, honestly. It's just like I could do it every week. I love it.
We got to have you on more, you know?
Yeah, well, it's your schedule. It's your podcast. You do what you want. But I'd love to come back.
You know, as
more
I was saying, how long you've been part of the Chicago Critics. How long has it been now, Erik?
I would be celebrating my 24th year this year.
Wow, congratulations.
2000. Thank you.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, 98, 99 is when I kind of started getting into this, semi-professionally, and 2000 was when, and I think I was the first online critic admitted to the group at the time. Yeah, I mean, 2000, we were still in that period where online critics were like, it was that sort of period still. Not so much by Chicago. They just didn't have any bylaws to allow that in. And so they kind of changed the bylaws a bit, evolve with the time. And I was admitted in, and I've been there ever since.
And you're not going anywhere.
I hope not.
But
you know something I don't?
No, of course not. But I was going to say the group has grown to this point where you guys started putting on the fest. Is this now the 11th?
Holy crap!
Chicago Critics Film Festival. Am I right on that?
The 11th year. Yeah, we celebrated our 10th anniversary last year. This is our 10th year at the Music Box. The first year we had it out in Rosemont,
right?
And then we expanded it in year 2, and so we've been at the Music Box since 2014, but it started in 2013.
That just blew my mind. Even though I knew last year was the big 10-year celebration, just to hear that blew my mind.
Yeah, I was just saying that's also in 2020 we had to cancel for obvious
go
reasons.
Virtual, yeah.
Right. We were in prep for the festival. We had 6 films booked at the time, and we had to, the world shut down, so we had to shut down. Or we'd for 3-4 days we were sitting just like, well, maybe things could happen and this kind of stuff, but clearly it was not. So we had to shut it down, but we came back for a weekend in 2021. And that was a big success that weekend. Everyone just came out for it. It was great, and then we've been back on the May TIFF ever since.
It's awesome. And for the Jawheads, they might have remembered this from last year, but a refresher, and for the new listeners, the Chicago Critics Film Festival works like this. These critics go out to Sundance, Toronto, all these various
South by,
South by, all these different film fests, and they each sort of pick and discover these movies. And instead of us having to travel to all the fests,
curate is
a good word to use. They actually bring the fests and these movies to us, which is quite spectacular. That's what makes it such an awesome festival. These are all sort of handpicked by the Chicago critics to be hits and premieres here in Chicago. Erik is looking at this list. Was there a movie in particular that you championed this year for the Chicago Critics Fest?
Oh, that's a really good question, because I'm considering how many. There was kind of an embarrassment of riches this year, and just how many options we had that dwindled just because for various circumstances. But there's a lot of movies that we all were just really excited to bring about. I remember Sundance. One of the first movies that I saw this year's Sundance is our closing night film, Ghostlight, which is by Alex Thompson and Kelly O'Sullivan, who did St. Francis, which opened our festival back in 2019, I think was the year. And when I saw that was something I'm just like, well, that's, it helps when it's a Chicago, hometown people and whatnot. We always love to champion that when we can, but they made another great movie. And it was just I just light up when I see that, especially with people that you kind of know a bit and you champion their previous films, and you're just kind of sitting there with your fingers crossed going, oh, please, I hope this is good, and judging it. And it absolutely was. So I'm really excited to bring that one as our closing night. And there's a lot of really great stuff here. Yeah,
let's get to the one I was referencing at the top of the show that I was very excited for on Sunday, May 5th at the Music Box, the Chicago premiere of I Saw the TV Glow. which is a very buzzy film here in 2024. I saw the first feature by this director, which was entitled "We All Go to the World's Fair." Is that the name of it?
Oh yeah,
We're all going to
the World's Fair.
Yeah.
And I was impressed. I wasn't completely enamored by the entire film. I thought like the first 45 minutes, the premise really worked for me. I'm very excited to see this follow-up. Have you seen this one yet, Erik?
Yeah, no, I think this was actually technically my first movie back at Sundance. This year was my first year back at Sundance since before the pandemic. And when I got there, just the schedule just made it so this ended up being my first movie. And I was kind of like you. I was with the World's Fair, which I saw virtually from Sundance a few years ago. There's stuff about it I admire and stuff that worked for me. Some things didn't, but this one really did. This one it's a great leap forward for James Schoenbrunn, who wrote and directed the movie. Just visually, the audio, the sound design of this movie, the performances. It's a really unsettling film, but has some really interesting things to say when you kind of discover what it really is about. It really kind of just want to replay the movie in your head and sort of think about all the things that it's been telling you. So, I've only seen it once. I'm very much looking forward to see it again. And I can tell you right now, if you don't have a ticket for this movie, you may want to get one real soon. It's
gonna be one of those exciting screenings at the Music Box.
Yes, it is. Yes, and James Schoenbrunn's gonna be there.
Awesome.
I before we hit record, I had said that you don't get enough credit because you are the founder of this film festival, and you're also on the board of the Critics Association as the events director. It strikes me that our listeners, may want to organize their own festival. So my question is, what's the most challenging thing, or just the day-to-day crap you have to go through putting on an event at this scale? Like what are your major obstacles? Something people can
just
learn.
Going back to the beginning of it, money. That's where it all starts. And when we started this thing, I kind of self-financed the festival and took a big risk on doing it. And thankfully it was a success. So I got my money back. But that's been sort of the thing that I've been a part of this entire time, is especially when we were able to build it up to a point that I didn't have to, fork over credit cards like I'm Kevin Smith making Clerks, and which I still do, but it's not as much those first couple of years. So so you start with that, and then once you have a little bit of scratch, then you can start putting stuff together. But the data, getting the movies, inviting the movies that you want, is fun, but also a grind. It's so much fun to send out those invitations and say, hey, we really want you to be a part of this festival. And so many studios and filmmakers have recognized what we've done with this festival over the years. So there's a bit of flattery involved in getting it's really, there's only so many invitations we can send out because we got a week's worth. We got one theater. We only show one movie at a time. So there's not 8 different venues across, 2 weeks of programming where you're competing against 4 different movies. And imagine if you're some small indie filmmaker and you get a movie in a Sundance or South by Southwest, and next thing you know, you're going up against the big premiere film from a big studio or a big name or big movie stars and stuff like that. And you end up in this little theater praying that people are going to come to your movie. That doesn't happen here. That movie, whatever time slot it gets in during the week, is not competing against anything. People are showing up for that movie. So that was sort of one of the things that I wanted this festival to be, that there's no competition. We make the schedule for you so you could see every movie if you want, because no one can see 100, 150 movies in a week. I don't care how much no-dos you do. It's just not possible. Time is not on your side. And and getting those no's, when you really want something, that takes a little bit out of you, big disappointment. We could do like entire series on all the little things that go into putting a festival like this together. I mean, the stuff that I'm going through now, these 2 weeks leading up to the festival, are either really exciting or really boring. Depending, I mean, they're kind of, they're exciting in not the greatest way for me because it's just a lot of stuff coming at me at once, and we have a lot of, not a lot of people working on this stuff. We're a skeleton crew.
I was going to ask,
any festival.
How many people do you have on your team?
We have on the programming team, we have 8 people now. We started out with 5. We expanded the programming team to 8, and they all do. I mean, they don't just sit there and watch movies. They're doing stuff now. Colin does the shorts program. He's working on badges, and Peter does. Used to do press releases for us, and he's putting stuff together. Steve does stuff at the music box. Brian, has been inviting stuff and dealing with people, and then he kind of hands it off to me in the home stretch. So it's just like everyone has these various jobs, and it's the kind of thing that like you would outsource to volunteers, honestly, at other festivals. And you say, oh, clap for the volunteers. Yay, volunteers. They're not getting paid anything. Yay.
Except it's you guys.
Millions of dollars flying through these festivals, and these volunteers, well, what do you get out of this? Well, I get to go see a movie later. I'm like, oh, hey, great. So we don't even, I mean, we have some people who do volunteer work, but there are people within our organization who want to help and just do stuff or write something or chip in a little bit with anything that we have going. And it's just, it's remarkable when we have people who want to do those kind of things. So yeah, I mean, again, if someone just came up to me and asked what would be the thing, I mean, I don't even know where to begin, honestly. So start with the money and then work your way from there. Start with the money and have people respect what you're trying to do.
For
Good
sure.
advice.
Yeah,
that's what I would start.
Couple more highlights here. I did want to highlight the opening night. Friday, I think, is a real banger of a night. You got 3 great films. What do we got on Friday, Brian? I mean, what do we got on Friday, Eric?
Well, Friday we're opening with one. You mentioned TV Glow already, but another from our friends at A24. We're doing a movie called Sing Sing. With the great Coleman Domingo starring in it, and this is a story based on. I guess based on maybe I don't know if it's based on a specific true story, but it's based on a program within the prison system where men who are incarcerated can sign up for this like theater program, and they put on plays. Sometimes they do original stuff. Sometimes they do pre-written stuff. And put on shows and whatnot. And it gives them an opportunity. It's almost like a group therapy kind of thing, but also to explore the creativity. And it's, prison stories can be not so hopeful. Not everyone, even Shawshank is not hopeful the entire way through. But this one, has that sense. You really get a feel for who these men are in here, and it's not a film that's they're about judging things that they've done. It's just looking at them as men who are trying to find something within themselves to better their situation, and it's a real emotional experience and might be Coleman Domingo's best performance, and that's saying something.
Wow, nice.
So it's going to be a real emotional kickoff to the festival, which we love. We love to either make people laugh or cry on opening night if we can do it, or both. Either way.
And that's followed up by a doozy.
Yeah, this is a movie called Cuckoo, one of many horror movies we got playing over the weekend. We're going to be talking about Dan Stevens a little bit later, but he's in this as a really wacky German scientist, doctor, hotel owner.
I love it already. I love it already.
It's a very hard movie to describe. Hunter Schafer, who's was in Euphoria, is the star of the film, and their family moves to I don't remember if it's Germany or something. They move, and there's grief and trauma in the past, and they want to get away from their families, have now turned 18, and it just wacky things happen, and it's really hard. I can't really even describe what goes on without ruining little things throughout the story, but it's a wacky one, and if you can handle wacky, you'll find something to enjoy in this.
Awesome.
particularly Dan Stevens.
Yes. Yes.
He's a riser in my book.
He is. We're going to talk about him coming up here.
Yeah.
You guys also are known for doing some anniversary screenings, and two big ones this year. Little Women, and I'm not talking about the recent one, but Little Women, 1994 was that released?
Yeah. It's the 30th anniversary of Gillian Armstrong's version with Winona Ryder and Kirsten Dunst and Christian Bale and Gabriel Byrne and Trini Alvarado and Claire Danes and Samantha Mathis. A wonderful. I mean, it's kind of hard to mess up Little Women. It's such a wonderful book and such a wonderful story. But this one, if we were doing best Winona Ryder performances, this would be at the top of my list. I think Winona Ryder is luminescent in this movie as Jo. Oh, just absolutely wonderful. The whole cast is great. Thomas Newman's score is, just mentioned Shawshank, but his score in this, which was the same year as Shawshank, is just as good as his score for Shawshank. It's a wonderful score, and I hope the Little Women fans come out for it. It's going to be on, both of these are going to be on 35 millimeter that we're talking about.
So cool.
A Sunday matinee for families.
Yeah,
really.
11:30 a.m. Perfect time to get out there with a cup of coffee and enjoy a flick like that. The other one being Bringing Out the Dead, the Martin Scorsese film that stars Nicolas Cage, also in 35 millimeter.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, the Little Women is Sunday morning. Bringing Out the Dead is going to be Tuesday night. And this is sort of one of those films in Scorsese's career that doesn't get talked about a lot. They always talk about, the award winners and the mob films and some of the religious stuff. But this one's sort of, which kind of has a little bit of everything in it. I actually haven't seen it in a while myself. So I'm really kind of looking forward to experience this in 35 millimeter as well. But it's a really interesting kind of all-nighter story with Nicolas Cage as this ambulance driver going through all these trauma scenes and whatnot, and the various partners that he has throughout the night, and John Goodman and Ving Rhames and Tom Sizemore. Patricia Arquette is in the film. It's a good, propulsive, really interesting movie that's going to look great at the Music Box.
One I want to bring up for KP and anime fans, I have a question on it, is Tuesday night at 9:45 p.m. you guys are playing Ghost in the Shell 2, Innocence. Do I need to have seen the first Ghost in the Shell? Can I just walk into this blind, Erik?
I think you can just walk into this blind. I think it's kind of its own story. I haven't seen the original in probably since it came out, whatever year that was. But
throw it in the fish tank, because I would guess like it was the 80s, wasn't it?
No, it was
90s?
sometime after whenever Akira came out. It was like
that was the 80s.
Ghost in the Shell. Was Akira the 80s? The 80s?
We're separating U.S. and Japan as well. I think that's an important
Get us
distinction.
both dates, sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Akira was 80s.
Wow. Okay. That's oh my God. That's nuts. But it was definitely after. It was like a couple years after Akira hit theaters here in the States. And this is kind of a really big thing for us. G Kids, who we've played a lot of their films over the years. This is a brand new 4K restoration of this film. It's a 20th anniversary, and it hasn't been shown anywhere. It's premiering at our festival.
Wow.
This version. So this is kind of a big deal. I mean, we all our films are Chicago premieres, but I don't think we've ever had a premiere before.
Interesting.
That's
rad. So this is going to be a big thing. So the anime fans are going to show up for this.
Definitely.
I hope they do.
Yeah. So there's a lot of great films. You can go to the website, check out the full schedule. And I think another cool thing is you guys actually sell passes that's good for the entire fest, correct?
Yeah. No, the fest that we have right now they're for $200. And it gets you into every single program, all the shorts programs. We have an entire block this year, speaking of restorations, of old Fleischer cartoons. So Popeye and Superman, and this whole big restored project that these guys have been doing, and we got in contact with them. So we're playing, I think it's 7 of these shorts on Saturday morning. And it's an hour-long program, again, perfect for families to attend. That's going to be a big deal. And, Yeah, it's just, I mean, the pass, as you mentioned, will get you into all of that. So every single program that we have, you can get into with the pass. And I urge people, look at we offer during the week. Look at the cost of this pass. Now go to another festival out of town and see what their passes are. You can only see the same amount of movies for the most part that we're showing at any given time. But look at how much those passes are compared to what we're offering. It's not just enough that we get to have Chicago have a sort of a best of festival in our great city and put this on for moviegoers and surrounding states who come in for this festival. It's not just that, but to make it affordable. That's always been part of the dream for this thing, is to do something that is not going to break you. It's not something that I mean, we could make a lot more money if we put even half of what some of these other festivals charge for stuff. We could probably fund a whole lot more festivals if we did that, but it would sort of, betray the core of allowing people to experience these films and not have to be rich, basically, to do it.
Well said. Yeah. So do it, Jawheads. Go to the Chicago Critics Film Festival website. You'll see the full schedule. Come on out to the Music Box. Again, May 3rd through the 9th.
What is the website, Ryan?
Well, I believe it's .com or is it .org, Eric? I'm not positive.
ChicagoCriticsFilmFestival.com.
.com. There you go.
And we'll put the link in the show notes as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And get out there. I mean, you'll come out. You can say hi to me and Matt, Eric.
Yeah.
Brian Talarico, who comes on.
And we have special guests all week. Special guests with the Sing Sing, the director, and a number of the stars are going to be there, including Paul Raci, who won our award for Best Supporting Actor a few years ago for Sound of Metal. It's just wonderful as Chicago actor. We're going to have Pamela Adlon there Saturday night for Babes.
Nice.
One of the funniest comedies you're going to see this year. I promise you that. So she's going to be for that. We mentioned Jane Schoenbrun's going to be here for TV Glow. On Monday, we're playing what we call Dandelion. Kiki Lane, who was in Beale Street to Talk and The Old Guard, she is going to be here with the director, Nicole Riegel, of that film. Wednesday, there's another Sundance movie called Good One. The director, India Donaldson, is going to be here for that. And then Ghostlight, closing night, the two filmmakers, Alex Thompson, Kelly O'Sullivan, and I believe a good portion of the cast are going to be there and all up on the stage for everyone. So come out.
Like I
It's
said,
a great time, everybody.
It really is. It really is the best. Like, I am super stoked because I am in town for the entire festival this time. So I will be at the Music Box all the time this thing is going on. So get out there, Jawheads. See some great movies. Support the Critics Fest. It's awesome.
Do it.
Before we close up this interview, Eric, we are celebrating Kirsten Dunst, and I wanted to ask you, do you in particular have a favorite Kirsten Dunst movie that you would say is your go-to?
It's a good question, because when I was looking, if I think about the list of Kirsten Dunst movies, when people ask me what my favorite Kirsten Dunst performance is, I say Melancholia, Lars von Trier's film. I think she is tremendous in that movie. If I was to say just a movie that she appears in, I think the answer is probably Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind or Spider-Man 2.
Ooh,
but if I would go with a film that she stars in, I think my favorite would be Dick. Her and Michelle Williams taking down Richard Nixon. I adore that movie. It is so funny. It is so smart. They're both great in it. Again, 25th anniversary. We could have done that this year. I think at the Critics Fest, we would have absolutely would have supported that. But yeah, no, I think Dick would be the go-to.
Nice.
That is a good choice.
It is. Note to self, don't ask Kirsten Dunst questions when we're playing Kirsten Dunst movie trivia. Some things have already been spoiled by Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome. I wanted to give you a little heads up.
Definitely.
I mean, who knows, though? You'll probably get the question, you know?
Good times. Well, Eric is sitting in on this entire jaw. He has his top 5 favorite kidnapping movies, and he also saw Abigail, and that's our review this week, Matt.
Yes, indeed, Ryan. Abigail, the filmmaking trio known as Radio Silence, who gave us Ready or Not and the Scream reboot, among other works, is at it again with a caper/monster movie entitled Abigail. loosely based on the 1936 Universal monster film Dracula's Daughter, Abigail is a vampire flick that promises horror, shocks, and heist movie procedures. But does it have teeth? Ryan and I smelled like garlic in our trembling seats.
What do we know about vampires? How do we kill it?
Crucifixes.
Stake through the heart.
Daylight is a big one.
We need to find a way out of here. We split up. This is just a game to her.
What can I say? I like playing with my family.
Hello?
Matt Bettinelli-Olpin, Tyler Gillett, and Justin Martinez, and Chad Valleja comprise Radio Silence Productions, the team behind Abigail. The premise, Rye, is simple enough. A rogues gallery of nameless professionals, in air quotes, meet one night for a kidnapping. The target, Abigail, the 10-year-old daughter of a rich man who's about to be $50 million poorer. After the daring do, the job becomes mainly a 24-hour babysitting gig as they sit back and watch the ransom roll in. Only their victim is no ordinary girl, and soon the spiders become the flies as Abigail turns the tables. You already know from my lead-in, and it's no spoiler to say, Abigail is a vampire. This is a vampire flick, and I have to say, it's a pretty darn good one. Flawless? Certainly not, but I don't think it was really aiming that high. The production values are surprisingly good, with a great haunted mansion set, very good makeup and effects, and good writing. The premise is a bit silly, but it's original enough. Abigail says what it does and does what it says, and sometimes that's exactly what an ex-army medic turned underground street doctor ordered. Speaking of which, let's talk about the cast. The characters are straightforward, and while perhaps a little cardboard in their archetypes, are imbued with enough humor and personality by their actors that I give this a high pass. The title role is played by Alicia Weir, who is obviously having a blast and was surprisingly menacing as she mugged her fangs for the camera. The other main character, Joey, is played by Melissa Barrera, who might be recognizable from the newer Scream films. I would say that she was serviceable in the role, though she obviously has the most heavy lifting to do as the only character that is sympathetic for the whole movie. The other main standout is Dan Stevens, who was recently in Godzilla x Kong, which we'll get to. He goes through a lot in this film and is played really interestingly and an unpredictable character. I never quite knew which way his chips would fall, and I liked that. He walked the tightrope really well. The rest of the cast is good to serviceable. A special note should be made for Angus Cloud of Euphoria fame, who passed away shortly after this film was shot. He is honored in the credits, so Euphoria fans may want to see this for that reason. I also want to highlight the music here, Ryan. Jordan Peele said recently, the difference between comedy and horror is the music. It's true. When you make a vampire film, you better bring the mood. And composer Brian Tyler brings the mood in spades. The soundtrack is also dripping with deep, bassy Tchaikovsky riffs, and I would be very remiss if I did not mention the blood and tears needle drop. Listen, folks, Glenn Danzig doesn't know everything about anything, but the man knows horror and especially vampires. He is famously protective of his music, so if this movie is good enough for Danzig, well, God damn it, it's good enough for Matt Kay. The main criticism I have is that this might lean a little too silly. Maybe if they had turned that dial one click or two towards serious, it might have cult status in its future. But I honestly think it falls just short of that. It's good, sometimes pretty darn good, but I wouldn't go as far as to say it's really good. Wrapping up, I'd like to compare this with Godzilla x Kong, which was another self-aware, campy monster movie that audiences and critics generally liked. This movie even has one of the same main actors. I'd put Abigail on that same platform in contention for Monster Movie of the Year. This is well-made, fairly original, campy, fun movie monster mayhem, and I'm on board for that all day.
Wow, Matt K. I'm going to say this. I didn't hate Abigail, but I don't think I liked it as much as you after listening to that review. I know the plot was supposed to be simple, but I found it too simple. You could see the twists and turns that they did try to provide from a mile away. On the positive side, I did like the chemistry of the gang who did the abducting. It did have some laughs and some decent gore. I'm going to give it credit in all three of those categories. Not sure I would necessarily recommend a trip to the theater to see it, however. Maybe wait for at-home rental. That's where I sort of land on it. Turn to you, Eric, your initial take on Abigail.
I am in your camp with this one. I didn't hate it, but I'm not quite recommending it either. I think I like the setup of the movie, and I think that at least it goes forward in the final third. The final confrontation, I think, is, it's propulsive, which a lot of horror movies tend to not be these days when they need to be. But the movie's almost 2 hours long, and that middle section kind of really gets stretched pretty thin. I think that you tighten that up a little bit, and it's just like, these guys, clearly they're fans of The Usual Suspects. There's a lot of Usual Suspects in this movie. There's a lot of kind of, they keep referencing the big bad, Abigail's father. There's kind of a Kaiser Soze-like figure. They talk about him in that respect, and there's a kind of I don't want to give anything away, but there's kind of a key scene where one bad guy kind of breaks down all the other bad guys, and I'm not talking about Melissa Barrera. There's a second scene where that happens. Mm-hmm. That's very much like a scene in Usual Suspects.
Interesting. I did not draw that comparison.
No, me
at
neither.
all.
But as Eric's saying, I agree.
It's almost identical. Honestly, it's very similar. Especially given, again, I don't want to give anything away, but where this film ultimately kind of lands midway through, and you kind of know all this stuff is happening. That's Usual Suspects. It's exactly Usual Suspects, basically. I
think that just made it go up a notch in my book, if I'm being honest.
That's fine. I think that they saw it and put it in their movie, and it worked better the first time. I've not been. I was gonna say this. This is a step up from their Scream movies. I think their Scream movies are terrible. And the more I thought about it, it just seemed like they went back. Ready or Not, which I liked enough. I think they botched the ending. But if you put these movies kind of side by side, what do you have? You have a house. You have someone brought there under circumstances that they're not fully aware of. And then they have to run through the house. And then at the end, everybody explodes.
Right.
There's exploding people.
Movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just basically the same movie. And just this one happens to have a vampire in it. I kind of shrugged my shoulders at it. It's not, it's better than Scream movies. I think it's better than Godzilla Kong, which I did not like. The monster movie of the year for me, though, is First Omen.
Yes.
Now that's the thing here.
I love the First Omen, Eric. I love it.
Right.
I got to draw a genre line there because that's horror, and monster movies and horror are a little different. There's some crossover there in that Venn diagram, but this is a monster movie. You draw parallel. Godzilla Kong is a monster movie. This is a vampire movie.
Right.
First Omen is a devil movie or a bad church movie. So however you define your monsters,
right. Yeah.
Civil War is a monster movie. You could say
that. No. I'm not going to get that crazy.
Really quick. All right. Okay. Getting into the specifics here. You mentioned Alicia Ware, who plays Abigail. I did think she did a pretty good job. I think the work on the teeth, the vampire teeth.
The makeup is great.
We commented about this. They didn't go for the two fangs. They went for a whole mouth of sharp teeth. That really worked for me. I thought that was interesting and scary.
Yeah,
outright scary.
Yeah, I thought that the creature effects in this, in general, were really well done.
Yeah.
They didn't skimp on the makeup.
Agreed.
No, I agree with that. I will push back though on thinking that it's not. I won't go with the original part of it or not so original, but you could have a pen and pad, you can write down exactly the order the people are going to be dispatched.
I agree.
In this movie, the exact order. I mean, I would have won that contest.
I agree. Was this distracting for either of you guys? The actor's name is Kevin Durand, who plays Peter. He's like the bulked up guy.
Yeah, he's like the
did you
idiot.
Did you not think that he looked like Elon Musk, like
yes,
a steroid?
There it is. Yes. The whole movie, I kept thinking, someone's going to do an Elon Musk movie at some point, and they're going to hire Kevin Durand.
I thought they were even going to comment in the movie, like somebody was going to comment, like, you look like a steroid bulked up Elon Musk.
I think he's playing Elon Musk in the movie. I think he's playing the dumbass Elon Musk version of, which is just Elon Musk, the dumbass version. The whole movie. He's got the face, which I never honestly put together until this movie. This guy's been the tough guy supporting player for years.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on Lost, for God's sakes. I mean, he's been doing that stuff for years, and it's only now I'm just like, oh my God, he looks like Elon Musk. He's playing the dumb version of the strongman character that he always plays, and that's who Elon Musk is. He's the dumb version of someone who thinks he's a strongman.
The likeness is as striking as Gene Wilder to the guy from The Bear. What's that guy's name?
Jeremy Allen White.
Yeah.
Those two, like, it's that striking. He looks exactly like Elon Musk. It's distracting. I agree.
Glad you guys were distracted also. I couldn't get it out of my mind. Every time he was on, I was like, God, this looks like Elon Musk.
I thought
ridiculous.
maybe they cast Elon Musk in the movie.
I mean, maybe it was that distraction too that kept me from really getting engaged with that character, because he's got kind of all the dumb, like, he's a big tough guy, but he's kind of dumb, and so he's got all these one-liners, and I couldn't tell if it was the editing that was making them not land for me, or the fact that I was just distracted by, like, oh, he's doing Elon Musk. It might have been that.
I actually really liked the character of Peter. You know, he is kind of like the idiot, and he's kind of easy to like. You know,
Yeah.
He's like the gentle giant. I don't know. I liked him.
To a degree. I want to get to my jaw-dropping moment, because we've been hinting around this, and it is my jaw-dropping moment is the Dan Stevens appreciation time. I watched Downton Abbey in real time. This is what I'm talking, like, before it would hit like a streamer. It used to come on.
Are you a Downton Abbey hipster over there? I liked it before it was cool.
Is that such a thing? Is that a hipster?
Apparently,
Watch
yeah.
that show?
So it used to come on WTTW. So this would be, Channel 11 here in Chicago. And I would watch it then. And I'm going to give a spoiler here. He was like the main character. And in season 2, they killed him off. And it was like stunning. It was like one of those moments like, what the hell happened? And I remember I took to the internet and found out that Dan Stevens wanted out of his contract because he wanted to be a movie star and he was done with the show. I thought at that time, wow, what a mistake. He's on this hit show that was breaking big time, and he wants out. I thought we had a David Caruso on our hands. Remember this guy? He wanted to leave whatever cop show that was.
NYPD Blue.
NYPD Blue. Thank you, Eric. And his
Eventually
career
he came back.
His career just fizzled. He did nothing after that Jade. And I thought that's what was going to happen to Dan Stevens. I was sure of it. And it took a little while. But holy crap, do I love Dan Stevens. He is now in that category where if I see his name in the credits, I'm so happy and excited to see the movie, because everything I see him in, the real big turn was his moment in Eurovision, where he was absolutely hilarious. And I was like, whoa, this Dan Stevens is really talented. And now it seems every character, and this one in particular, what an odd choice to play the character the way he did. But God damn it, I love Dan Stevens in this. The glasses, the look that he had, I loved it all. I thought he was the absolute highlight of this movie.
Not going to argue with you. I mean, I think he's fun. Like I said, he walks the tightrope. You never know quite where you stand with this character. Is he going to break good? Is he going to break bad? We're not sure. Until the very end, we're kept guessing. I thought at least that, you got to agree, Eric, was somewhat unpredictable. Like, I didn't know if he was going to become the hero or the villain.
I would have been surprised if I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, I can't spoil it.
If he went one way than the other, I wasn't that surprised where it went, and I'm trying to think of the movie parallel where something almost exactly like that happens. There's probably a few. I'm not being too clever here about it, but it reminded me, like, okay, that's exactly kind of where I expected this to eventually go. But you mentioned, I mean, it was funny you mentioned Downton Abbey. I mean, obviously not funny. Dan Stevens was in that. But I think this kind of thing happened with Bridgerton, which, kind of like the Downton Abbey, parallel in some ways. But you remember, was it Regina Page, who was like hotter than the sun for like 9 months when that first season came out, and then he left the show to because he's gonna be a big movie star. And what's he been in? Like The Gray Man and Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. It's not quite worked out for him.
Don't throw shade on D&D, man.
I am. It's not a good movie.
Oh, bite your tongue,
Boo,
Eric. Come on.
Boo.
Yes. Boo.
But-
Boo you
but-
all.
I cut
Eric-
me and I bleed D20s, man.
Eric, you are on the Dan Stevens train, right?
I like Dan. Yeah, I do like him. In Godzilla Kong,
He was great.
I know some people found him annoying. In that movie, I didn't find him either which way. Like, I didn't think it was annoying, and I didn't really enjoy him in it. I was kind of neutral on that. I think he's better in this. He's given more to do in this, I think. And then Cuckoo is Cuckoo.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, I got to see that one.
Awesome. Matt, did you have a jaw-dropping moment?
Well, I'm really surprised you didn't go with the blood vomit fountain, which is quite a moment and lasts a lot longer than you might imagine. But no, that's not where I went. I went with blood and tears. Listen, when there's a Danzig needle drop in a movie, you have my full attention. That was so unexpected.
You were jamming out in the theater. I
Yeah.
could see you rocking out in the theater. It was quite annoying.
Yeah, no, I threw up the horns and I was like, oh my God, they just did this. That was pretty impressive. I mean, kudos to the filmmakers for that pull. I mean, that's off Lucifuge, man.
Wow.
We're going way
Deep
back.
cut.
Yeah, 80s.
All I know of Danzig is Mother.
Yeah, this is even deeper than that.
New category that we've been doing is That Would Never Happen. Moments of that are just so unpractical. It was tough to come up with this one.
There's
'cause
a glaring one.
I know you're going to mention one. The one that I came up with was these characters at one point find out that light damages vampires quite well, and we see the damage it does to a vampire. And finally, they have sunlight in the room. And I swear the next beat, the characters are like, let's go into the secret passage behind the walls where there's absolutely no windows. That would never happen.
That would never happen.
That would never happen.
No, you stay in the lights.
You stay in the lights.
Why wouldn't you? At least wait it out. All right, there's a scene in the beginning where they're tracking this little girl for the kidnapping, and they place a tracking device underneath the car. Is it hidden way up under the undercarriage? No, it's right on the wheel well. Like, you can totally see it. That would never happen.
That would never happen.
That would never happen.
No, it's right out in the open for everybody to see.
Why would you put your tracking device where people can see it?
I honestly can't believe that it's 2024 and in a horror movie, someone actually writes down the line, you know what we should do? We should split up. That's a line in the movie.
That would never happen.
That would
I
never
was just
happen.
like, what are you like? They know all the vampire rules, but that rule somehow eludes them.
I love it. Good stuff. How about a movie poster quote?
Abigail takes a bite out of caper tropes and drains the blood from your expectations.
Not bad. I went with Abigail needed to sharpen her teeth so that her bite was a bit more ferocious.
All right. Sounds like you're a little down on this one,
I'm
right?
a little down, but a middle of the road. I'm just not highly recommending. I'm right at 2 Jaws.
All right. This is where, and I don't usually spend a whole lot of time picking out my Jaws. Usually to me, it's pretty obvious. I spent a little time on this one. I went with the rare quarter jaw toward good, and I said 2.75.
Wow, 2.75 for Abigail.
With the qualifier, if you like horror, if you like monster movies, I think you'll get a kick out of it.
What if they're Danzig fans out there, Matt?
Oh,
is it a must?
It's
Is
a
it a must?
4-star movie for Danzig fans.
Eric, we're on a 4-jaw scale. How many jaws for Abigail?
I would go 2.5.
I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. 2.5 from Eric, 2.75 from Matt K, 2 Jaws for Rye the Movie Guy. This is clearly not a dud. So if you do see it, Jawheads, and you have Twitter pulled up, shoot us a tweet. We're at CinemaJaw, or our email is feedback@cinemajaw.com. Big kidnapping in Abigail. So that was our idea this week. Let's go with Kidnapping Movies, and we are going to throw it to Erik to kick us off. Was this a difficult list to come up with or tough to narrow down?
It's funny given your introduction on the show today, talking about when you chose this list, because when you said that, when you gave this to me, my first thought was just like, oh, that's going to be either easy to do or hard to do. Like, there's only going to be like so many good ones that it's going to be very easy to make this list, or it's going to be so hard because I can't think of so many. And thankfully, because I'm a little psychotic and single, I had a list already of films that with a designation of kidnap in this database that I have.
Cow.
That's a little frightening.
I said I'm psychotic and single, and it's a deadly combo. And so I looked at those. I'm like, oh man, okay. So there's a lot of movies that deal with kidnapping in some form or another. So yeah, there's a lot of good ones too. Like I had like 16 like really strong titles that I could have chosen for. And so we do this one by one. Is that?
Yeah. Start with your number 5.
Yeah, start with your 5.
We did these in order.
Yep.
Right. I'm sorry. I didn't know if we did these in order or not. Well, if we're doing these in order, then my 5th will be my guilty pleasure choice, I suppose.
Sure.
I hate the one that I took out to put this in, but I don't know if this is going to be on either of your list. Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando.
Wow.
I forgot about this deep cut. Well done, Erik. He gets a bell for that.
That is a great pull.
Thank you. Yeah. There's a lot of better movies on this list, as my top 4 will show you. But Commando is just, if someone kidnaps your daughter, that's what you want to see happen to everyone around them.
Especially if it's Alyssa Milano.
That's right.
But, every kidnapping movie should end like Commando. Yes. Every movie, in fact, should end like Commando.
I love Commando. What happened to Sully? I let him go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Love that pick. Great way to kick it off.
Hey,
thank you,
Erik. Don't be ashamed of your love of Commando, man.
I'm not ashamed. I feel bad for the movie that had to leave the list so I could include Commando.
If you had Commando at number 1, I would have been like, that makes total sense.
I'm hoping that this other movie makes one of your lists.
Nice.
So if not, I'll throw it out later. But.
Wow. I'm reevaluating my list now in light of that. All right. At number 5 is Karen Allen, right? You think of her from the Indiana Jones movies and then not much else, right? What else has she done? This would be such a great trivia question. She was in a movie with Jeff Bridges, which is interestingly the movie that I learned what the word kidnapped meant because it's also the word the character Jeff Bridges is playing learns what the word kidnapped meant because he kidnaps Karen Allen's character in Starman. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah. I hadn't even seen it up until probably 5 years ago. It was the first time I saw Starman.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw it when I was a little kid. Probably, not that it's an inappropriate movie, but the concepts were way above my head. And I remember even then loving it. I think I just had an early fascination with science fiction. A woman's dead husband, his DNA is somehow touched by an alien who takes on his body, his shape, like basically grows like a plant. In real time, you see this creature form.
Very creepy when the creature forms.
Yeah, the transformation was kind of gross. And it's Jeff Bridges nude. And they go on this road trip. At first, she's, feels like a victim, like she's been kidnapped. And then she comes to find out that he's actually this visitor, and they form a friendship, and everything works out. But there's my number 5.
Wow.
Starman.
I'm embarrassed to say my number 5 after your 2 strong picks, gentlemen.
I gotta say, Matt, that is an A+ pick.
Wow.
That is an A+ pick because I didn't even have that on my list. And that's, you're right. He kidnapped. What is kidnapped?
Right.
And I produced this series at Elk Grove Cinema, and we just played Starman in February as part of our 1984 series. And it's a wonderful movie. It is awesome.
It's a really good one.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great Jeff Bridges performance. Yeah. Like I said, I'm embarrassed to say my number 5. I almost want to just skip my pick on this one. This one came out just last year. And the reason why I put it on my list is I remember almost dreading seeing it because it was a spiritual sequel to a film called Searching. And I thought, I don't even want to see this movie. It's entitled Missing. And these are these movies that are all done online. So everything is done either on a computer screen or a cell phone or surveillance video. And in the film, Storm Reed stars as a teenage daughter whose mom starts dating a new boyfriend, and they go to Colombia for vacation. And the mom then disappears. She never comes home, and no one knows where she is. And they start looking at like the surveillance video of them on this like lover's bridge or whatever. And they see like a van pull up, and she gets taken. And now the search is on. No one really knows how to find her. And like Storm Reed from like at her house on the internet is working with some guy in like Colombia, so on and so forth.
Oh, he was a great character.
Right. And what I liked actually were all the twists and turns. I think when we see a lot of movies, as we were just mentioning with Abigail, you see these things coming from a mile away. This was one that had me guessing the entire time. And I like that. I like being thrown off by plot twist, turn. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who to believe. And it all made sense at the end. It was a very enjoyable thriller that had kidnapping involved.
I enjoyed it as a mystery, and I thought the ending was a little less satisfying, like the whole like the climax that happens in the house. But yeah, everything leading up to that was pretty good. There were some good twists and turns.
Go ahead, Eric. Give me gripe. Go ahead.
No, not at all. I like Missing. I like Searching, which actually played the Chicago Critics Film Festival back in the day, and I liked Missing as well. I do agree with Matt though. I think the conclusion is a little not so great. But everything up to that, I enjoyed.
I will admit, it's no Starman, it's no Commando, but Missing, my number 5.
I mean, it's a fair number 5, dude.
Into
Absolutely.
our 4s we go.
Yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed about that pick. Okay, my number 4 is Room. Not the Tommy Wiseau movie, the movie that Brie Larson won the Best Actress Oscar for, which is only a kidnapping movie for like the first 45 minutes, basically, half hour, 45 minutes, but it's about the lingering effects of that. Brie Larson was kidnapped as probably a teenager at some point and was molested and had a child in captivity. It was kind of loosely based on things that have happened. And Jacob Tremblay in this, I think, one of the greatest child performances of all time in this movie, with the sequence where they escape the kidnapper.
Oh my God.
One of the tensest sequences I think I've ever seen.
I'm right with you.
Yeah, me too.
To the point that when they reunite right after that moment, I can't watch that scene and not cry. I mean, it is just so emotional because of how intense the escape was, and then for them to be reunited, I just bawl.
Dude,
it's hard
me
to,
too.
it's hard to breathe, and it is a hanky movie throughout. Two really strong performances between the two of them, and I mean, when Jacob Tremblay gets the dog, I mean, come on. I mean, God's sakes. I mean, you don't have a heart if you don't cry at that movie. And yeah, so Room is my number 4.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Like, people say, like, "Oh, this movie will take your breath away." That scene, I remember, like, when they finally reunite, going, like, I could finally breathe.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's a tense scene. Great pick.
Yeah.
We might be talking about it again later. All right, and this might be the most pedestrian pick of all time. It's certainly one of the obvious ones that comes to mind when you think of kidnapping and keeping a person in captivity. But I'm going with Misery. You just have to mention it, you know? I don't think we need to harp on it. Everything we need to say about Misery, we've said, so we can move on, right?
We do love Misery here. And we talk about it all the while. Like it, Matt.
Yep.
Pedestrian pick.
Okay, how about this for a number 4 pick? I'm coming on strong with James McAvoy's best performance on film. It didn't happen in an X-Men movie, Matt. It happened in 2016 an M. Night Shyamalan film, Split.
You're saying that's McAvoy's best?
Yeah, I think it's his best.
It might be.
He plays a character with split personalities who kidnaps 3 young girls. One of them is played by Anya Taylor-Joy, who at that point, I don't think we were nearly as familiar as we are with her now. It was right before Queen's Gambit came out.
It's way before.
Yeah. I mean,
Years before.
Throw in when Queen's Gambit came out, KP. But at least a couple years before that, for sure. And it obviously then ended up fitting in to this M. Night little world
universe,
that he created, which
for better or for worse,
Unbreakable and Glass. However, I remember being at that press screening and not knowing anything that that was like the surprise that Split was going to be involved or tied in with any other M. Night film. It was a well-kept secret because I remember being stunned at the end of the movie that it tied into Unbreakable. Where do you fall on this one, Eric?
Well, you lost me when you said Shyamalan, who I can't stand. I hate his movies. I don't like any of his movies. I think.
What about Sixth Sense?
No.
Really?
If you don't know the twist 15 minutes in, you're not paying attention. It's a poorly made, boring ass movie with a good performance by Haley Joel Osment.
I love how serious Eric is.
You want to get me started on Shyamalan? Again, we don't have enough time on the podcast.
You will die on that hill.
I'll absolutely die on that hill. I have no problem dying on that hill. That new trailer came out. That trap shit came out. That is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
We'll be reviewing it here on CinemaJaw.
Yeah. You know what? Back for that one.
It would be great if like you went to a movie completely blind, like you knew nothing about it whatsoever, and you loved it. And the end, the twist was it was an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Hey, and I'm open to that. I honestly, people don't believe me, but I honestly go into every Shyamalan movie because I'm just like, well, that's an interesting premise, and my left part of my brain is going, I wonder how he's going to F this up. But the other part is just like, maybe he won't. I hope that with Knock at the Cabin, which is a really fantastic book, and he effed it up. And Trap might be the dumbest plot I've seen in some time.
He has certainly had hits and misses. I will give you that.
For sure.
Yeah.
We will leave it there and put a pin in it till we have Eric back on for a full discussion.
Yeah.
Into our threes we go, Eric.
My number 3 is A Perfect World, Clint Eastwood's film with Kevin Costner.
I have not seen this. It's a blind spot for me.
Oh, you have to see this. I think it's one of Clint Eastwood's best directorial efforts. One of Kevin Costner's best performances. He plays it's in the 1960s. I think it's set, and he's an escaped convict, and he kidnaps a child and takes him, as his hostage. But it's a story about child abuse and the effects of child abuse. It's a wonderfully told story, and the relationship, the relationship that develops between captive and the boy, or captor and the boy. It's really a really strong, really terrific piece of filmmaking.
Nice pick.
I'm going to put this one down in the journal.
I haven't seen it either. Yeah, that's one for the list.
Yeah, nice pick, Eric. Matt.
All right. My next one is, I think, fair to say, one of the best and most important horror movies of the last 20 years. Certainly of the recent decade. It gave us Jordan Peele. It gave us Daniel Kaluuya for the most part. I'm going with Get Out at number 3. Are we on 3?
We are on 3.
Okay.
On 3.
Get Out is a kidnapping movie at its heart. Daniel Kaluuya's character is abducted for nefarious purposes by this family, and as you go down, you descend into their conspiracy, or the sunken place, if you will. It gets deeper and darker, and their intentions become clearer and more sinister, and yet it has this brilliant comedic edge to it as well that is just so Jordan Peele. I think he almost coined a new genre of film with Get Out. And, people like some of his other movies better, like Us or Them, was it?
Nope.
No, what was... Yeah. Okay, Us. Oh, yeah. Us and Nope. And I don't know. I keep getting back to Get Out as his best movie to date. And, man, I've rewatched it recently. It holds up, and it's only from 2017. It's fairly recent.
It sure is.
Can you imagine, like, the world without Jordan Peele? Like, today? No. But it's only since 2017 that he's really burst onto the scene.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's hands down his best. I also like Us.
Us is great. Yeah.
I wasn't as big a fan as Nope, but I love Get Out. I still remember coming on the Jaw. You hadn't seen the screening because it was early in the year. And I came on, I'm like, dude, I know it, whatever it came out, like February or March. And I was like, I think I've seen the best movie of the year. It's going to be in
That's
contention.
right. We did a video about it,
Yeah.
and I hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah, it was wild. So, big fan. Eric?
I'm Team Us. I think Us is his masterpiece, honestly. I like Get Out. I think it's a solid movie, but Us, I think he upped his game. And Nope, I didn't care for.
Right.
Yeah.
Same.
I mean, that's fair. I think you can choose one of those two, but yeah.
So my number 3, I don't know where you guys are going to fall on this one. It's a John Goodman vehicle, also stars Maria Elizabeth Winstead, came out in 2016. Another spiritual sequel on my list, and this one is 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Is an honorable for me.
Is it?
Oh, wait.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one with John Goodman, right?
Yeah, with John Goodman, yeah. So in the movie, Mary Elizabeth Winstead ends up getting in a car accident, and she ends up getting captive after that, down in this bunker.
Kind of, sort of.
Right. And John Goodman is saying that they're there for their own safety because there's been an attack on U.S. soil. It's either the Russians or the Martians. They don't know what's going on out there, but you're best to stay inside this bunker. And so it's a guessing game the entire time you're watching the movie of, is this a kidnapping case? Or is this guy telling the truth, or is he just a madman? And where's this thing going to go?
Right. I think there's signs that there really is something going on, but even if there is, are your chances better out there? Take your chances out there, or to stay with this guy who's obviously a little off.
Yes. And I love John Goodman in general, but I don't think a lot of times he gets this meaty of a role as he had in 10 Cloverfield Lane. A lot of times he's the comedic guy.
Or support at best.
Yeah. And this time I thought we really saw John Goodman that we don't get a glimpse at enough of, because I thought he just knocked it out of the park.
Well, what about King Ralph, though? I mean,
yeah, as being,
he went there.
He sure did. As being a deranged guy that you're not sure you can trust. I loved him in this, and then obviously really cast a light on Winstead, who obviously now is going on to bigger and better things. And it did end up tying into Cloverfield, which was pretty cool. So I like this one. So
I did too. I think that's a solid movie, and Goodman, I think it's one of his, like you said, it's one of his best roles. That's a solid movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's no Fred Flintstone as far as Goodman roles.
No.
All right, Eric, what do you got at 2?
My number 2 is one that I think just it has to be brought up when you talk about kidnapping films, and it's actually one that's being remade right now as we speak. And that's High and Low, Akira Kurosawa's film, which is the story of this kidnapping and a choice that has to be made between paying the ransom or using it for other purposes, twists and turns, moral compasses all over the place and whatnot. It really is, I mean, it's Kurosawa.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I need to say, right? The fact that it's probably number 2, people are going, huh? But no, it's one of the greats, and now Spike Lee is remaking it with Denzel
cool.
Washington.
It's going to be very interesting.
I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, I just saw that in the news. Embarrassingly, I have never seen High Low, and it's been brought up on the podcast, and I've said to myself, I'm going to watch it. Now, if Eric's bringing it up again, he's got 2 on here that I have to catch up with. So
there's a bunch of Kurosawa I still have to see. I've seen some, but not a lot, and certainly not all of them. All right, here's something you probably forgot about this movie. Silence of the Lambs is also a kidnapping movie.
It sure is.
It's really the main plot of the whole damn movie. It's just that it's overshadowed by how well Anthony Hopkins played this tremendous character of Hannibal Lecter, and the chemistry he had with Clarice, Jodie Foster's character, that completely overshadows the plot, which is a kidnapping by this guy, Buffalo Bill, who is, to his credit, an equally menacing, well, maybe not equally, but certainly a very menacing character. And the scenes in the house where Buffalo Bill has the girl in the hole in his basement, and he's like, it puts the lotion in the basket.
We all love it.
The detachment he has, the dehumanization that's happening in these scenes are so harrowing and freaky. I mean, it's become a bit of a trope now, and it's played for laughs perhaps today, but I think that underneath those laughs are our own discomfort with those scenes and just how disquieting they truly are. What a great movie. Mm-hmm. It is an all-timer for me. I there's really almost no room to argue on Silence of the Lambs.
Nice. What I had done is I listed it as an honorable mention, not because I think it's not worthy of the list. I figured it was going to come up.
Pedestrian?
because we talk about it a lot.
Okay.
I want
not in this context,
but
though.
I agree. Not in as far as kidnapping goes. So it does need to be mentioned. And then at number 2 for me, I had Room. So then I thought, well, I'll fill it in with Silence of the Lambs. But now Room's been mentioned and Silence of the Lambs. So I'm going to go to a horror film that just came out not long ago with one of my fill-in picks here with Barbarian.
Okay.
Movie that I really like.
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, do I love this movie. About people going to an Airbnb, and it turns out that there is a basement with a tunnel that leads deep into something sinister in Barbarian. And at one point, one character ventures in, and we lose that character until a second character comes in, and then later goes down that same hole. And there's sort of the captive stuff going on in the back. Real creepy, and it just gets deeper and darker as it goes along. I was a huge fan of Barbarian. It's streaming on Max, I believe, so do check it out. I love that one.
All right, into our number ones.
Yeah,
we go.
our number ones. Hopefully we have 3 different number ones. Eric, what do you got?
Well, mine, probably my favorite film to involve any sort of kidnapping, and it does involve a kid napping. Raising Arizona.
Nice.
The Coen brothers. One of my favorite comedies of all time. It's an all-timer. I can put it at any point in that movie, put it on, and just start laughing like an idiot during it.
Me too,
I love
dude.
Yeah, I love it so much, and yeah, it's one of my favorite Nicolas Cage performances. It's one of my favorite Coen brothers movies. It's top 5 on both of those lists, and clearly I'm putting it. I put it above Kurosawa, for God's sakes. So I mean, it must have some special place in my heart. I love Raising Arizona so much.
It's a classic.
I love Raising Arizona too. The biker, the bounty hunter.
And Bill Tex Cobb.
Freaking love Raising Arizona.
It's a good one.
Just remember your warm feelings towards Nicolas Cage later in the show.
Ooh.
So truth be told, my number 1 is Room. I don't know if I've ever quite been affected like that in a physical way in a movie theater where I had that reaction. Maybe Bo is afraid now that I'm thinking about it. And I was trying to sub one out, maybe get an honorable up there to substitute, but Split and Cloverfield Paradox or 10 Cloverfield Lane were both mentioned. So I'll stick with Room at number 1, man. That is a damn solid movie. If I had to throw in an honorable, and I left this off the list because I think that this isn't a movie I necessarily recommend people see, but it is a kidnapping movie, and it is top of many, many lists. Have you ever seen Martyrs?
I have not.
God.
Have you seen it?
Oh boy. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's all I'm going to say.
I don't recommend people watch it.
No. Yeah.
For many reasons.
It's incredibly disturbing. Like you were saying about Abigail, that it's not a movie to go see. Like maybe wait for it to come out on streaming. I disagree. That is a good date movie. It's scary enough that your date might jump into your arms a little bit, but silly enough that you walk away and you can go have pizza and it doesn't stick with you. Martyrs will fuck you up for life.
Martyrs is a great last date movie.
Yes. Yeah. You want to end a relationship? Put this movie on.
Yeah. Tell her you like that movie.
Yeah.
Creepy. My number 1 pick, not ruined, directed by Denis Villeneuve, who I absolutely adore. Came out in 2013. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman, and it is Prisoners. And
Sure.
This was a very tense film about kidnapping. It follows the abduction of 2 young girls in Pennsylvania and the search for the perpetrator by the police. And then after the police arrest a suspect and release him, the father of one of the daughters takes matters into his own hands. Very gritty, tense film. Paul Dano also appears in this one
Sure.
in a very creepy role. And I just totally dug Prisoners. I'm a fan of Denis Villeneuve's, all his films. There's none on his list when I look at his filmography that I dislike. Prisoners, totally enjoyed it. I don't know, Eric, do you like this one?
I do. I'm not a big Denis Villeneuve fan. I think this is one of the ones that I like mostly. I have third act issues with that movie. I also think Jake Gyllenhaal is a pretty bad cop in that movie. but I haven't revisited it since 2013, so I'd have to check it out again. But I liked it enough at the time. I just don't love it.
Nice. What was your number 6 that you knocked off for Commando? Was it mentioned?
It was not mentioned. No, my number 6 was Gone Baby Gone, Ben Affleck's
that's a good
film.
one.
I think that's an amazing film. It's funny that kidnapping just happened to be the topic tonight, because I literally just thought of this. Do you remember a movie, or did you ever see a movie called Without a Trace?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was a great movie.
Oh, yeah, with Thomas and Mackenzie.
No, that's Leave No Trace.
Oh, that's Leave No Trace.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was
Without
thinking
a
of.
Trace, I think it's a 1983 movie with Kate Nelligan and Judd Hirsch. It's set in Chicago. It's about a woman whose boy gets kidnapped. We don't know. We don't see it from the kidnapper's point of view. It's all from the mother's point of view. I actually auditioned to be in that movie.
Interesting.
Back in the day, as a kid, I auditioned to be the kidnapped boy.
Wow.
In that movie.
What
My
a
parents
different
took me downtown for an audition for that. Yeah, I didn't get the part.
What a different world we would have lived in.
I agree.
If you had gotten
Right?
the part.
Yeah, I don't think that kid went on to do much. But
Really quick, honorable mentions that didn't get to. Black Phone, that just came out with
Yeah,
Ethan Hawke.
I like that.
I like that one. Old Boy.
Is that a kidnapping movie? Because I struggled with that one.
yeah,
I think it's a kidnapping movie.
Okay.
a man napping movie.
Yeah.
More like a revenge movie, but
Yeah, man napping. I would go with Eric on that one.
If Room is a kidnapping movie, then Old Boy is,
Okay.
because all the kidnapping happens in the first half hour of the movie.
And then that movie Greta that I mentioned recently has a kidnapping element as well. Eric, honorables for you?
Ruthless People, the Zucker Abrams film with Danny DeVito and Bette Midler, hilarious.
Yeah, that is a good movie. Good pull.
Yeah. Very under. I mean, it's one of those movies that just people don't talk about as much. It's you can't even get it on Blu-ray right now. It's only on bad DVD. The Ref with Dennis Leary.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
Absolutely hilarious.
I like that film.
I do too.
Romancing the Stone. I mean, there is a kidnapping
To a
in that.
degree, I teetered with
Right.
that. Yep.
I didn't put it, for that reason. The Way of the Gun. You mentioned Usual Suspects earlier. Christopher McQuarrie's debut. I like that movie a lot. King of Comedy, Fargo, Ransom. I like Ransom. Mel Gibson, Ron Howard's
Give
film.
me my
I think
son back.
Yeah, exactly.
All the Taken movies.
Yeah, there's a great Netflix documentary called Abducted in Plain Sight.
Yes, I've seen that.
Oof,
Yeah.
God, that's rough.
Yeah, that's a really rough one.
Matt?
How about Todd Solondz's Welcome to the Dollhouse? You guys remember this one?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen that one, but I liked it.
There's two kids, like a cute daughter that the parents love and the community loves, and this like freak daughter that nobody likes. And the cute one gets kidnapped, and the ugly one is still ignored and neglected and blamed for the kidnapping. And it's Todd Solondz, so there's a lot of weirdness going on there in psychology.
Jawheads, if we missed your favorite film about kidnapping, you have Twitter pulled up. Shoot us a tweet at CinemaJaw or our email, feedback@cinemajaw.com. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we have a CinemaWAR looking at the best Dracula, plus movie trivia, Matt versus Eric. Stick with us.
Let's all go to the lobby.
Jawheads, many of you may forget, Kirsten Dunst was in the masterpiece Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. In this clip, she talks about famous quotes with Tom Wilkinson, and she's the one that gets to say the title of the movie in the movie. Enjoy.
Do you like quotes, Howard?
What do you mean?
Oh, like famous quotes. I find reading them inspirational, and in my reading, I've come across some I thought you might like too.
Oh, well, I'd love to hear some.
There's one that goes, "Blessed are the forgetful, for they get the better even of their blunders."
That's Nietzsche, right?
Yeah, in here I thought I could tell you something you didn't know.
Oh no, it's a good quote. I'm happy we both know it.
Oh, and there's this other one I like. It's by Pope Alexander, and it goes,
Alexander Pope.
"Oh, Yeah, shit. It's just that I told myself not to say Pope Alexander and sound like a dope, and then I go ahead and say...
It's no big deal.
You're such a sweetheart. The quote goes, "How happy is the blameless vessel's lot, the world forgetting by the world forgot, eternal sunshine of a spotless mind, each prayer accepted, and each wish resigned."
Hey, Jawheads, I know at the end of every podcast we ask you to follow us on social media. However, I want to point out that we are doing some fun videos on Instagram, the Reels. So go on to Instagram, make sure you follow CinemaJaw, and you can see part of the show being taped. We're putting clips out each and every week, so follow us at CinemaJaw on Instagram and really everywhere on social media.
Sparkling drinks and all colored dandy, 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 dandy.
And we're back on CinemaJaw. We're talking about vampires. We're talking about kidnapping. We threw a few things into the fish tank. Speaking of kidnapped vampires, maybe we should open up the fish tank, Ryan.
Let's do it.
Wait a moment! It's fish! Isn't it?
DC! Wake up! Wake up! No, Pat, it's a giant glass bowl. Hey, get some fish folk.
Who's coming with me besides Flipper? Here.
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Matt, I'm so flattered. While I don't appreciate the kidnapping element of this is I thought I was here for the ride. I did not realize this was against my will, and now that I know it is, I know it is. But it's just so sweet of you to finally see me as a vampire.
You're welcome, KP.
10 plus years. And of me begging. So we had two questions in here. They're both release date related. The first one is, when did the original Ghost in the Shell film come out? And that, Erik is completely right. It was the 90s. Japanese release was November 18th, 1995. And this is probably...
95.
This is so shocking to me. In an act of, remarkable speed, especially for the time period, the international release was less than a month later, in December 8th of the same year.
And what about Akira?
Akira in the States was October 19th, 1990. So a few years
1990.
Yeah. You were dead set on the 80s. We should have bet on that one, Matt.
Yeah. We should have bet on that one. I would have gone as late as 90, maybe. Mm-hmm. So wasn't terribly far off. 1 year.
No, not at all.
And then our second one, when did Queen's Gambit, the series, come out? That came out in 2020, October of that year. So
okay,
a perfect distraction from the
2020. Yeah.
So
Anya Taylor-Joy was already around for quite some time.
Yeah, Split was 2016, so that was 4 years before the Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, way off, Ryan.
It was. Yeah, I thought it was. I would have guessed the Queen's Gambit was 2018 or 2019 at the absolute latest.
No, it's fairly recent. Yeah.
Interesting. That was everything.
It was like that and Tiger King while we were in lockdown, dude.
It was. I remember getting a chessboard for Christmas. I mean, chess blew up, It was everybody's got to play chess because of that damn Gambit.
I play chess every day now.
Do you really?
I do.
I'm terrible. I tried so hard to become a grandmaster, and I failed.
You should play Quinn. He'll kick your ass.
I'm sure. But me and my brother still play every Christmas. That's the important thing.
That is important.
That was everything that we threw in there?
That's all we got.
Well, we're still in the fish tank. Looking at next week, no big reviews out in theaters. We missed the screening of Challengers, which is going to be dropping. I think what we're going to do right now, Jawheads, is take the plunge and watch both Rebel Moons, Zack Snyder's movies, on Netflix. Erik's making a really ugly face at us. He's grimacing, I believe is the word.
I feel bad for you.
But we need to get the word out to the Jawheads, and I think these movies are right up Matt Kay's alley. I've seen part one, and I'm still alive.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to take one for the team, and see a bad movie and let everybody else know out there, skip it.
Well, we are going to do that, and then maybe a retro review on Kirsten Dunst. Could be an interview with the vampire, Matt.
I think we should go there. And I want to say that the Rebel Moon looks like a low-rent Star Wars to me.
Sure.
But that isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Yes.
We'll see.
That's what we're looking at next week. That is everything. Jump back in that fish tank.
You bet.
Matt,
Yeah.
you know what time it is?
CinemaWAR.
CinemaWAR works like this. Me and Matt, we battle on a topic. Our guest this week, Erik Childress, gets to play judge and jury and tell the Jawheads who he thinks won the CinemaWAR. And it's important because we're fighting for 15 seconds of jaw time to rant and rave on whatever the hell we want,
Boy,
Matt.
I forgot about that.
Right? That's
Yeah.
what's at stake here.
It's been a long time.
We're talking Dracula. KP, what exactly are we fighting?
Well, Jawheads, this week we have got a great CinemaJaw. You could say one that you could really sink your teeth into. We're going deep dive onto Dracula, baby. Matt is saying that Nick Cage is the best Dracula in film, and Ryan says Gary Oldman's better. We have got ourselves a Cage match, and one of these podcasters is going to leave it a bitter, fractured, damaged old man.
Matt, Nick Cage's turn as Dracula was fun, but it's not even on the same level. Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula film has aged like a fine wine, which is ironic since Dracula doesn't drink wine. But seriously, Oldman's portrayal and the film itself has only gotten better with time. True story.
I don't think that is a true story. I'm going to drain your argument of lifeblood. It's right up on Front Street. The names. It's in the names. Old man, Gary. Gary is SpongeBob's snail cat, not a vampire. Nicolas Coppola Cage. Now that's a vampire name.
Matt, when discussing Gary Oldman's illustrious filmography, we have to note his role as Dracula. The image of him with the big bouffant white hair, the devious laugh, classic stuff. Nick Cage's performance barely registers a footnote in his filmography. These are not on the same page,
now,
man.
I'm so glad you brought up the bouffant, okay? Because close your eyes.
It's a bouffant?
It is a bouffant. Close your eyes and think of Count Dracula. And if you do this honestly, what do you see? Not fucking Gary Oldman with a bouffant, okay? You see the black cape, you see the glowing eyes, probably see something that looks like Bela Lugosi. Nicolas Cage's character is more honest and true to Dracula, the character.
Gary Oldman plays Dracula in a movie titled Bram Stoker's Dracula.
It was Bram Stoker's, but go on.
Nick Cage plays Dracula in a movie titled Renfield. Enough said.
Look, it's not about the movies here. It's about the Draculas, okay? Let me hold a mirror up to your argument. You'll see your reflection because mine is the true undead. Nicolas Cage may actually be a vampire. This is the thing that you got to remember. There have been paintings that were found from hundreds of years ago that look eerily familiar, so much so multiple talk show hosts have brought this up in interviews who calmly laughs it off.
Gary Oldman plays... All right, Gary Oldman plays the older Dracula, sure, but he actually plays the character over centuries. We see Dracula at different stages in his undead life. Nick Cage plays him in one simple note. That's it. I finally read the novel Dracula just last year, and I said to myself, boy, I have to rewatch Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. I did not say to myself, boy, I got to watch Nick Cage and Renfield.
Yeah, you got to rewatch it because it was confusing as hell. This isn't about Renfield versus Bram Stoker's Dracula. No, in that contest, you would win for sure. This is about the Dracs. And that support group massacre scene would win me that. But Cage gives Drac the swagger that I expect, where Oldman seems confusing and stiff and too impenetrable. I just want some Dracula, and I don't get that from Oldman.
We are button heads here on CinemaWAR. Whew, it is one you really sink your teeth into.
Yeah.
We throw it over to Erik. What'd you think of this CinemaWAR?
Well, I mean, put on my judge's robe here for a moment and
get him a gavel.
Yeah, you're right. I don't have my gavel with me, but yeah, I mean, you guys are both talking about the performance specifically. So, putting the movies aside, that's the thing you want to look at. So Matt, I think, is absolutely right when considering that, because I think all of us agree that Coppola's film is better than Renfield.
Yes.
Are we at least in agreement on that?
We are in agreement.
Right. Okay. So then we look at the two various performances. One that's had a little more time to breathe. Ryan, right? That's since 1992 that we've been able to absorb that performance. Nicolas Cage and Renfield were still, maybe not fully there yet in some respects. So I'll give a little passage of time that we've had a little more time to appreciate Oldman's performance over Cage's over time. But, and maybe this is a little unfair, and you can tell me if I'm not, that the film that has not even been brought up is one of the factors why I'm going to side with one over the other. Because Nicolas Cage,
yeah,
this is not even the best vampire performance he's given.
Boom, boom, yep.
Vampire's Kiss, which maybe
best.
he is, maybe he isn't, that kind of thing. That is like the performance that he gives in Renfield is the performance everyone, I think, built up in their minds was like a classic Nicolas Cage out there, out of his world, out of crazy mind performance, when it was just kind of the old shtick, really. And that's how, I think Renfield's a terrible movie. And the performance, I don't think is given enough life in that movie. But what I saw was just kind of the same old shtick. Vampire's Kiss is the complete package. That is like the ultimate weirdo Nicolas Cage performance. And Gary Oldman's performance, again, we've absorbed for 30 years. That's kind of the classic book version of Dracula. It's not the scary version, so I can appreciate what you're saying there, Matt. But this is it's scary, but it's also romantic, and I think the subtlety in it makes it more menacing. Where Nicolas Cage is he's got the teeth, he's got the look, he's yelling, and a lot of makeup and a lot of special effects, and it's what you want, but I got to give it to Gary Oldman.
Okay. I thought maybe Vampire's Kiss you were going my way.
That's awesome.
No, 'cause that's the better, you'll admit that too, that's the classic Nicolas Cage performance.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably a better performance if we're being honest. But Ryan,
certainly.
You have won this cinema war.
I have won. It earns me 15 seconds of jaw time to rant and rave. And I know Erik is going to appreciate this one. I went to watch Bram Stoker's Dracula yesterday and couldn't find it streaming on any service. You could rent it. Not saying you couldn't.
You got to stop stroking your Bram, okay?
But it was not. It was not streaming on any subscription service. I'm like, my God, I wish I owned this on 4K. Is what I said to myself. And that is my 15-second rant, is physical media. It's not dead, is it, Erik?
Amen.
Nope.
We should still
not at all.
support, if you've liked the movie and you want to have the movie at any given time and still have it look the absolute best, buy it on 4K, put it on a shelf. It's the best. I wish at that moment I had Dracula to watch, and I didn't. And I thought, that would be my rant. Support, get out there. I know Best Buy's not selling DVDs, Blu-rays anymore, but you can still buy them online, and I think it's quite important to do it. So that's it.
Love it.
Yeah, that's actually a good message for a change, Ryan.
There you go.
Yeah, well done.
All right. Let's end this podcast with some fun trivia, shall we?
Yeah. Let me lose for a second time right in a row.
As I mentioned, some questions, beep, beep, warning jaw, had some questions were already spoiled when we were talking Kirsten Dunst earlier in the episode, but what can you do?
How closely was Matt Kay paying attention?
All right. Erik, being our guest, you get to choose if you want to go first or let Matt go first. There are steals, and if you get hung up on a question, well, so be it.
I will let Matt go first.
All right.
Thank you.
He lets Matt
he deferred.
go first.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right.
Question 1. Matt Kay, Kirsten Dunst starred in one movie with Robin Williams. Name it.
Really? Jesus Christ. Was it Toys?
This was the softball that I was going to give Erik. Like, well, it's just a joke. This one's an easy one. Erik, what did Kirsten Dunst and Robin Williams star in?
Jumanji.
That is
correct. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
1-0, Erik, and I believe that's ball game. You know what I mean? Question two.
No, it's okay.
Question two, again.
I should have got the Jumanji question.
Again, I wrote these before we did the podcast, and a lot of these were actually spoiled. Question two, over to Eric. Name the 1994 movie Dunst appeared in that Greta Gerwig made a remake of in 2019.
Wow. Little Women. Playing the Chicago Critics Film Festival on Sunday, May 5th.
Absolutely. Another plug for the Chicago Critics Film Festival. That was my thought process there when I wrote that one in, but it was spoiled already.
I'm glad I went first because I would have been very upset if Matt didn't get that one.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, honestly, if I would have gotten it, I think I would have.
2-0, Eric. Question three over to Matt K. Matt, in 1997, Kirsten Dunst appeared in a black comedy that starred Dustin Hoffman and Robert De Niro. Name the film.
Wow.
Dustin Hoffman, Robert De Niro in a black comedy also had Kirsten Dunst in it. 97.
97? Jesus. How dark was this dark comedy?
It was only semi-dark. Your mileage may
not like
vary
Very
on this
Bad
one.
Things with Favreau dark?
No, not
Okay.
quite
I wouldn't
that
call
dark.
it. I wouldn't call it the dark like that.
No, not dark like that. A light dark comedy.
Okay.
It's a satire. It's more of a satire than.
Sounds like Eric knows this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. The spoiler alert. I do know this movie.
I'm trying to think of what De Niro did in the late 90s. It's kind of like a dry spell there. And Hoffman? I mean, Jesus, I can't even put those.
Both of their better ones.
Wow. Hook 2. No?
That is absolutely incorrect.
Jesus, really?
Eric, what do we got?
Wag the Dog.
It is Wag the Dog.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
Small
now.
role. Kirsten has a small role.
Yes, but she is in it. She is in it. 3-0, Eric. Oh boy, Matt,
Yeah,
this
I'm
isn't
getting
looking
steamrolled,
good. This
yeah.
isn't looking good. Question 4 is over to Eric. I mean, again, these were written prior to the show. In 1999, Kirsten Dunst starred in Dick. Who was her co-star who played her best friend in the film?
Michelle Williams.
Yeah. It's 4-0, Eric.
Let's see if I can get one.
I don't even think you're going to get this one. I doubt it. I think this is one of the tougher
Come on, man.
ones.
I believe in you.
Thanks, Eric.
I thought this one was tricky. At least it was for me. Kirsten Dunst starred in one movie with Julia Roberts. It came out.
Is it not Hook 2?
No,
Okay.
no. Horseface herself, Julia Roberts. It came out in 2003.
Right, yeah, he always goes there. 2003?
Yes, 2003. Kirsten Dunst in a Julia Roberts movie. Name it.
So, okay, immediately I think of Julia Roberts in the 2000s, in the aughts, and I'm thinking it's got to be, was it Erin Brockovich?
Eric, what do we got?
Mona Lisa Smile.
That is correct.
Wow.
Anyone
Wow.
remember Mona Lisa Smile?
No.
Good cast.
It did. It had a
Maggie
really good
Gyllenhaal.
cast. Yep.
Jennifer Goodwin.
It is now 5-0, Eric. The game is over. It is officially done. Question 6 is over to him. At this point, we're wondering if it's 8-0 or 7-1. Okay. Eric, question 6. Kirsten Dunst plays a cheerleader captain in what movie?
Bring it on.
Yes. 6-0.
Probably would have got that wrong, too.
This you might have a shot at, and this is what I'm hoping for, Matt. I really think you got a shot at it. Kirsten Dunst played Marie Antoinette. Who played her husband, Louis XVI, in the film?
I didn't see Marie Antoinette.
I know, but this should be a layup.
Should it?
I think so.
Has he been in other movies?
Oh yes, we know this actor very well.
Is he handsome?
Depends on the day, but I'd say so.
Has he ever been voted the sexiest man alive?
No, not that sexy, but he's got me beat.
Well, geez, that narrows it down. Crap, dude, I have no idea. Yeah, throw me a hint if you got a hint. Go ahead.
Can I say relative?
Relative.
Do I have the right person?
Yeah.
This is actually, I was a little kind of like on this one.
You do have the right person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, you're speaking in code. I don't even get the hint. Give me a hint I understand.
A relative to somebody that came up earlier in the show, maybe in the CinemaWAR.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe in the CinemaWAR.
Relative of the actual director of the movie.
Sofia Coppola? Oh, it's got to be a guy, though.
Right.
Okay, so, okay. The two, I have no idea who directed Renfield, so you got to be talking about Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, Nicolas Cage is a relative of Francis Ford Coppola.
Right. There's another one in there.
There is?
Yeah.
Younger than Nicolas Cage, at least.
I'm not positive Matt knows that this person is related. I'm not positive.
So I'm guessing they don't share a last name.
They do not.
No surname.
No.
Yeah.
Anything?
Dustin Hoffman.
I love it. Who do we got, Eric?
Jason Schwartzman.
Yes.
Schwartzman is a Coppola?
Absolutely. He's related. Yeah.
No shit. I didn't know that at all. Learning things on CinemaJaw.
Well, it is now 7-0, Eric, and he is about to go 8-0.
Well, unless he gets it wrong.
I know Eric knows this one. I tried to actually flip it and do easier ones at the end because I thought it was going to be fun and close, but you didn't bring your game today.
Sometimes I do.
Question 8 is over to Eric. The Power of the Dog won Oscar for Best Directing. Kirsten Dunst starred in the film. Who directed that movie?
Jane Campion.
Yep. 8-0, Eric. I hate to see it an absolute slaughter like that, but
of course he knows the answer to that.
I know.
He was nominated for all kinds of shit.
I know.
Yeah.
I do trivia every week, Matt. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I do too, and I'm still bad at
it. Can I get a virtual handshake here?
Virtual fist bump.
The Jawbreaker, if it came down to it, would have been age of Dustin Hoffman closest to. Matt, you got a guess on how old Mr. Hoffman is?
Well, since Hook 2, he's put a few years under his belt. Dustin Hoffman has got to be in his mid to late 70s. If I had to nail him down, let's go ahead and say 77 years old.
Lock him in at 77. Eric, you got a guess on Hoffman?
That's funny. That was going to be my guess, too, actually. So I guess I'll go 78.
We'd give that to Eric, but you guys are way off. Mr. Hoffman is 86 years old.
Holy crap.
Is he really?
He really is. Dustin Hoffman is 86.
Maybe he was in his early 80s, but I would not have guessed 86. Wow.
He looks good. I mean, the last time I saw him, I don't know the very last time I saw him in public, but I know.
He's been out for a few years.
Yeah. 86.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you're walking around at 86, you look good, you know?
True story.
Definitely.
Brings us to the end of a great and entertaining Jaw. First and foremost, we got to thank Eric for coming on. Look forward to the fest. Again, it's happening May 3rd through the 9th at the Music Box Theater. We'll be out there and can't wait to celebrate with you, Eric.
Can't wait to see you guys out there. Really appreciate you having me on, as always.
Absolutely.
We also got to thank our editor, our engineer, KP.
Oh, you guys know I wouldn't be anywhere else on a Thursday night.
Hey, we should also thank our patrons over on Patreon. We're dropping fun stuff for them.
Yes.
If you're not there, get there.
Yes. We dropped a very funny outtake last week, and we just recorded a new movie roundup talking about The First Omen, the Society of...
Yeah. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare and Immaculate.
And Immaculate. So you got a movie roundup going on there. So do support us. It would mean the world to us to support the podcast. If you can't support us that way, the other way to do so is just by leaving us a review or a star rating wherever you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah. Or hit thumbs up.
As that.
Hit thumbs up on YouTube, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Until next week, I'm Rye the Movie Guy.
I'm Matt Kay. And keep on jawing about the movies.